This is the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. I don't know what's worse, getting blown up in a nuclear war or having a 7-Eleven on every corner.
I am not.
I feel like we're on a roll here.
Not familiar.
Of just like totally like
Obscure.
we're all in our own world and nobody watches the same movies.
I know.
It's such a balance. Like I don't want to do ones that are so obvious.
Yeah.
So I kind of taking it as a way to give you a little glimpse inside my life.
I don't know.
Any idea? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's like a late 80s, early 90s maybe.
Who's the star?
The star of the movie is Christian Slater.
So is it Heathers?
It is not Heather.
What's that other one?
Pump Up the Volume, is it?
I almost went with Pump Up the Volume, but
I would know that one.
What You Know of Me.
Oh, Gleaming the Cube.
It
Oh,
is
okay.
amazing.
I was like trying to think if that was in fact a Christian Slater movie. I don't know that I ever saw that one.
I didn't either.
Bad
but
80s child.
It is a Christian Slater joint with
who?
co-starring Tony Hawk
Oh.
as Buddy.
Oh, is he in it? Okay. I didn't know that.
That's why I went with this one as opposed to Pump Up the Volume. But then when I was being wishy-washy about it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to go live with my Tony Hawk crush right now.
Oh, I'm going to help you. So we used to all work together, and Jen was away for a while, and we printed out like every photo of Tony Hawk that we could find and cut them out with scissors and then hid them all around her workspace. And she's blushing a lot right now, and it's cute. And then you were finding them for months, I think.
There's, if you lift up the keyboard right behind me at my computer, there's still a Tony Hawk tape.
But you
to
work
the
in a
underside
totally
of my-
different building.
Yeah, this is my home now.
Oh.
During the pandemic, I brought my keyboard from work home.
We stuck one to the bottom of it.
There's a cutout image of Tony Hawk taped to the underside.
I
of my
thought you were
keyboard.
like painstakingly detaching him and
there's
moving.
still- no. There's Tony Hawk's on my equipment at my work.
At the new office.
At the new office.
I immediately
Tony
forgot
Hawks.
where we put them all and how many there were.
Amazing.
So.
Yeah.
Can we just declare Tony Hawk like an honorary friend of the pod?
I wish.
No, don't wish. Let's do it.
Let
we'll
it be so.
manifest
Yes.
it.
So my crush on Tony Hawk goes back to probably preteen years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just been my longest running crush. It's understood in my family. The children act as if like him as my crush is like another member of our family.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he came to Santa Barbara that one time, right?
I mean, he used to be here all the time because the original Palo Peralta offices were right on the other side of the alley from my dad's office. Right. And so the Bones Brigade guys used to come. They had a big blue ramp out behind the office, and so those guys used to go and skate. And so like my dad would come home from work and be like, "Guess who I saw today?" Like teasing me about it relentlessly. And then at a
Like a demo?
promotional demo. They were trying to do the skate park project when they were trying to like put skate parks in cities as like a youth, something for kids to do besides drugs.
Stay out of
Probably
trouble.
was a say no to drugs related.
Yeah.
But yeah, they brought a bunch of skaters up to Mackenzie Park, and they had a big vert ramp set up, and Tony was doing a demo, and I watched him finish his demo.
She
and
watched
then,
him.
I
Not creepy. Not in a creepy way.
I mean, in a teenage crush
Yeah.
sort of way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched him finish and then like exit the ramp and go towards the bathrooms, and I went, "Here's my chance."
You went
You don't remember this? You don't remember this story?
No.
So I followed him to the bathroom, and I
Okay.
waited right outside the bathroom door. Not inside the bathroom,
That's
but
what
like
I was
the
worried.
entrance to the bathroom. No, I did not go into
I know.
the stall.
You're a normal person.
And when he came out, I asked for an autograph, and I still have that autograph. And it's
Yes,
on
I
the
have a
back
photo of it.
Yeah, the
Would
Mackenzie
you-
Park.
like to put it on our
I can put it on
Instagram
our social media.
at
can tag him.
at Ghoul's Guide to SB. Oh, tag him. I would pay you like $1.
It's so embarrassing. So
We're gonna do it.
embarrassing.
Oh, come on. Like, he probably hears this all the time. I bet he thinks it's cute.
Yeah, and maybe
Sorry, Tony.
maybe I'll find one of the the Tony Hawk confetti that you guys post.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so almost every nook and cranny of my office space had images of Tony Hawk, and I think probably years after that, I was like dusting or something, and I pulled all the pencils out of like a mug that I had, and there was a Tony Hawk at the bottom of the pencil case.
We were
There was
creative.
when you lifted my phone, there was one under
Under the cradle or whatever.
Cradle. Yeah, they were everywhere. There. The one on the back, on the underside of my keyboard is still there.
We missed
It's
you. We were
barely
excited
hanging
you
on.
I know,
were coming
we
back.
missed you so
It was
much.
the greatest thing to come back to. That was when my mom had her stroke,
Yeah.
and so it was an amazing thing to come back from
Aw.
a pretty stressful time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super stressful.
To Tony Hawk everywhere.
Love it.
So yeah, if you're out there, hi,
Delightful.
Tony. Sorry about that. Gleaming the Cube was a great movie. Christian Slater was also one of my crushes. I loved all his movies. He was a big part of my movie viewing of the time. So that's why I went with Gleaming the Cube. I figure
Awesome.
we'll
Love
just
it.
open that can of worms.
I want to
Admit
watch
that
it.
Crush.
It's one I like.
It's such a good movie, and there's a lot of Mike McGill's in it.
The pro skaters.
Tommy Guerrero's in it.
Okay.
But I didn't like the plot of the movie is very kind of intense, and I had kind of forgotten about it a little bit. But
Well,
good movie.
I'll let you know if I watch it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Today, Liz is going to tell us about the unknown woman of Santa Cruz Island.
That's me.
You're the unknown woman? You're finally admitting
No, I've
to it?
never been out there. Okay, so in a previous episode, Jen told us a little bit about the Channel Islands right off the coast, and Santa Cruz Island is one of those. And yeah, my story today is about the unknown woman of Santa Cruz Island. So when I first saw mention of this story, I thought it was referring to the story in the book, The Island of the Blue Dolphins.
I
Right.
was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which I think is just like part of the curriculum. If you're a child in California, growing up, you read that book. And I don't remember. So I saw a thing about when they were trying to get it put into the curriculum where some woman who's advocating for it was like, children can deal with death and loss and like it's an important developmental thing. And like, that's why this book should be included. And I just remember that book wrecking me as a kid.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't remember specifics, but I just like remember crying while I was reading it.
No. I feel like we read a lot of stuff like, 80s kids.
Just, yeah,
Like
horrifying.
Watership Down was one of my brother and I's favorite cartoons, and it's just terrible.
Yeah. But anyway, the Island of the Blue Dolphins is about the lone woman of San Nicolas Island. So also part of the Channel Islands, different woman, different island.
Okay.
But maybe we can talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
So Santa Cruz, maybe Jen told us, is the largest island in California, about 22 miles long, ranges from 2 to 6 miles wide, and covers almost 62,000 acres. And so because my brain has no frame of reference for how big an acre is,
How many Walmarts? is
Yeah,
that?
I was going to say.
no, I tried to do the Walmart calculation, but I went with football fields. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So an acre is about 43,000, well, probably not about, it's 43,560 square feet, which is just a little bit smaller than a football field,
Oh,
which is 57,600 square feet. So if
Okay.
I have mathed correctly, the island covers the area of about 46,709 football fields.
What's a lot
Okay.
of football fields?
It's a lot.
that would have
So-
been too many Walmarts. It would have been like such a high number.
Yeah.
So, yeah, football fields was the right choice.
Okay. Well,
Except for I have no context for football.
Not me either, but I'm trying.
I'm
But-
just gonna picture like a concert being held on a football.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
oh yeah.
I can
Okay.
picture.
Yeah. So like 46,000 of those.
46,000
Yeah.
Super Bowl halftime shows.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about 96.5 square miles.
Okay.
I also read that it is the largest privately owned island in the contiguous United States.
Oh.
Although 24% of it is owned by the National Park Service, which
Okay.
is federal government.
I think.
But the rest is a nature conservancy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh.
half of it is like coastal conservancy, half of it is national park.
Yeah. Quarters National Park.
Quarter, sorry.
So, on April 27th, 1990, Joe Carl, an inspector for the Santa Barbara County Agricultural Commissioner's Office and volunteer with the Nature Conservancy, was on Santa Cruz Island to remove pesticides from Stanton Ranch on the island. So there was an old wooden seed shed that had been on the island since the early 1800s. And in this shed, among the gardening tools and seeds and whatnot, he found a small box. The box was not full of old pesticides. It was full of, dun dun dun, human cremains.
Oh, no.
So, okay, we'll come back to that. But a little bit more about the history of Santa Cruz Island. So we know that Santa Cruz has been inhabited for like 10,000 years, 9,000 years before the Spanish showed up. And in 1822, the last of the Chumash people, the natives, were removed or left the island. It was used as a base for otter hunters, fishermen, bootlegging, smugglers. So, of course, there's Smuggler's Cove,
Okay.
which maybe would be interesting to learn more about in the future. I didn't look into it. I was like, I can't go off on this tangent.
Sorry to then immediately go off on a
Let's
tangent.
do it.
Last time I was over there, one of the guests that I brought with the group was the last Chumash woman that was removed from the islands was her great grandmother, I believe.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was really cool.
Wow.
So she was there to talk to the kids that I had taken over
Oh, cool.
about the Chumash history.
Neat.
And also, I just want to point out that the Chumash name for Santa Cruz Island is Limu.
That's right.
Oh, that's a cute name.
Yeah.
I like it. It's easier to say than Santa Cruz Island also. So a lot of times I prefer to use that name.
Cool. Thank you. So the first private owner of the island was Captain Andres Castillero, who received it as a Mexican land grant and owned it from 1839 to 1857. And he brought French merino sheep to the island and established a ranch there. The island changed hands a few times over the next 80 years. Castillero sold it to William Barron in 1857. And by 1864, there were 24,000 sheep on the island.
Oh, wow.
And also horses and cattle. In 1869, Barron's ranch manager had built one of California's earliest wharfs. Wharfs. It's a hard word for me.
Piers.
Yeah, at Prisoners Harbor, which is also maybe
Oh, yeah. Let's
a
look into
story
that.
for a future.
Like some prisoners.
Yeah.
Not like that, though.
Sometimes, yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes you think like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And then you find out that like, yeah, it was just the person that claimed it. Their last name was Prisoner.
That's not the case with Prisoners Harbor,
Yeah.
but we'll save that for later. So then Barron sold it to a group of investors that same year. And by the late 1880s, one of them, Justinian Kerr, had bought out his partners. And I think his family is still involved in working on preservation of the island. So he expanded the ranch to include producing beef, wine, nuts, gardens, orchard. He had like 100 people working there, blacksmiths, carpenters, painters, winemakers, butchers. And he also oversaw extensive building and development on the island. And so ranch buildings, walls, dams, and roads that are still there are from his time
Okay.
as an owner of the island. So then in 1937, about 90% of the ranch was purchased by Edwin Stanton. So you'll recall earlier I said the cremains were found on Stanton Ranch. And I was going to tell you, 54,750 acres is what he bought.
How many football fields?
I don't know. I didn't do that.
Okay.
But how much did he pay?
Oh, $3.
Wait. I'm going to say, wait, what year was it?
1937.
1937.
Not $3.
I'm going to say $30,000.
No, $750,000.
That's still a bargain.
It's a bargain. Yeah.
I think there's still like the ranch house, I think still is there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've because it's right there at Scorpion Cove.
Oh, cool.
You can volunteer and go help maintain the house once a year.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, neat.
Polish the
Yeah, I
silver.
haven't been inside the house, but there's they turned I think part of like the staff quarters or something into a visitors center.
Yeah, I bet.
And they have like history stuff there.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
I know. I got to get out there.
Yeah.
So Edwin Stanton was a wealthy oil man and owner of Stanton Axle Works in LA. And I saw a report that he was an automobile part manufacturer. And he and his wife kind of abandoned the sheep ranching and switched to cattle ranching. And Stanton Ranch became a big player in Santa Barbara's beef industry. And Santa Barbara was apparently like one of the top 10 beef producers in California, which was surprising to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know.
Now it's cauliflower.
That's right.
Maybe.
So
Sometimes.
Still strawberries in the lead. Yeah. So his son Carrie was a teenager when they bought the ranch. And I read that he spent school holidays on the island. But then he later went to medical school at Stanford and practiced medicine in New York City for a couple of years. Sorry, hold on.
Beep, beep, beep.
Pardon me. So then in 1957, when he was 34, he came back to Santa Cruz Island to help run the family ranch. And when his parents passed, he inherited the island. And there are reports that he was a lifelong bachelor. They called him eccentric and deeply private. And he was also very protective of the island. Yes.
Okay. So in a future episode, I'm going to talk about another historical figure. And in my research for that, I found out that all those terms mean gay.
Yeah, right? Like
That makes
lifelong
so much
bachelor,
sense.
deeply private. Yeah. Yeah. I wondered, but wait, who knows? So there's a report that he found a bag of trash on the beach, dug through it, found an envelope with the name of a yacht broker from Ventura, took the bag of trash to the guy's office, dropped it on his desk, and said, "Excuse me, sir, I believe you left this on my island."
Amazing.
I love it.
I know.
Amazing.
Totally. So in 1985, Carey established the Santa Cruz Island Foundation to preserve the island's history, and he also established the Cemetery of the Holy Cross on the island. Did you see the cemetery when you went there?
No.
Oh, okay.
But if it's over by prisoners, that's not the...
It's not where you were.
No.
Okay. Well, he had his parents exhumed and cremated and buried them there.
Okay.
And a handful of other people closely connected to the island have also been buried there. I think I read there are like 14 people in this little cemetery. In 1987, Carey died of a heart attack and was also buried on the island. And he left the land to the Nature Conservancy and the ranch to the Santa Cruz Island Foundation. So I think they run like the house and
They do. That's who you can volunteer with.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were nice people. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm going to just keep going, I guess. I used to work in an office that was right next to this little tiny wooden house downtown that the Santa Cruz Island Foundation used to own.
Oh.
And I just went in there one morning. I think I'd had a lot of coffee and I was like, "What do you do?"
Cool.
And they just like were lovely and showed me all the historic stuff they had in there and told me all about it. And they were like, "You could volunteer." And I was like, "I definitely will." And then I just never,
Was
never
it a
did
woman named Marla Daly?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a few like nonprofits that work out there and do some...
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
They also do, I don't know. I
Like
don't
Channel
think
Islands Restoration?
Yeah, no, I was going to
Oh.
say the descendants of the Chumash people that live out there
Oh.
just did their annual channel crossing.
Yeah, I saw
Cool.
that.
They have their handmade tamales and they do a crossing of the whole channel
Yeah.
out to the islands.
This is like their 20th time
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Like
to
in
see.
recent years.
Nice.
Super neat. Okay, so now we are back to Joe Carl in 1990 and the discovery of the cremains.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot.
That's just a little
I
background.
have an unknown woman to get to.
That's right. Okay, so Joe's wife, Linda, and their son had come with him to Santa Cruz Island the day that he found the box. And Linda kept a journal about the experience, which was published.
We found a box. I don't know why that's funny to me. I'm sorry.
So her account was published by Marla Daly, the president of the Santa Cruz Island Foundation.
Okay.
So in this account, Linda describes the box as being made of copper. It's about 6 by 9 by 3 inches, and it was tucked into a corner of the seed shed,
Like a cigar box.
like a box of cremains.
Oh, that doesn't have a standard size. Don't do that to me. I own some cremains.
I do too,
They
but-
came in a bag.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Mine are in a bag inside of a box that's probably about 6 by 9 by 3-ish.
There are no dead bodies in mine.
Size of a cake.
I have no context.
There aren't any in my home either. They're in a storage unit.
So So the box was made of copper, tucked into a corner of the seed shed, and nobody on the island knew where the box had come from or who the ashes belonged to. So Linda, with the permission of the Santa Cruz Foundation, yes?
I'm so sorry that I am this person.
It's okay.
They're not ashes.
I know.
They're ground up bones.
Yes.
But yes,
I
but
think
we
people
say
just
ashes, yeah.
Colloquially refer to them as ashes. I just didn't want to keep saying cremains, even though it's like such an awesome word.
It's such a hokey word, though. It made me really angry when I received the cremains of my mother. I was like, don't you come up with some stupid marketing word. Like, just call them like bone fragments. But yeah.
It sounds so much like craisins.
I know. That's it. That's totally it.
What they like. It's
cremated
cranberries and remains.
Cremated remains.
They're truly.
You get a snack with your family members' remains. Oh.
And they help with UTIs.
Just never. I do not have any of my family members remain. So
I'm happy that you don't.
So I have lots
me too.
of questions.
All right. So with the permission of the Santa Cruz Foundation, Linda decides she's going to investigate this and try to find out who the remains belong to. So that's why she kept like an account of her investigation. All right. One of the foundation staff apparently sifted through the remains and found... So they found, quote, metal nails, staples, and screws, undoubtedly parts of a coffin, a large garment snap, several false teeth, and a ring with small diamonds, presumably a wedding band. Oh. So they figure it's the remains of a woman. Linda contacted the county coroner, and he suggested that she take the box to the Santa Barbara Cemetery to see if they can determine when it was made. Suggests she takes the teeth to a forensic dentist and the ring to a jeweler to kind of just find out if they can figure out like the time frame of when these items were produced. And then, and also he says to take the garment snap to like thrift stores and antique stores to see if it can be dated.
Basically, we're not going to help you.
Right. Well, I
go
guess,
elsewhere.
Yeah. Well,
I know. I'm thinking to myself, like, how much time and like how much money can you just show up to the cemetery and be like, hey, are you research this?
Maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess because
forensic
it was,
dentist. Do we have those in town?
Apparently, maybe.
I mean, I guess there has to be like a reference for that somewhere if anyone needs to do any forensic dentistry related to crimes.
Yeah.
But so because it was cremated remains, like they didn't think it was foul play, you know.
Well, yeah.
So it wasn't like they just found a body.
That's interesting that
somewhere.
there were bits of a coffin, though, because I think normally they don't.
Well, just like the metal bits.
They don't put you in a coffin to burn you.
Oh, they just put you in.
Yeah, but maybe
loose.
they used to.
But yeah, this
maybe
is,
in a box.
It's prior to 1920, and it's on the island.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless the box was brought out to the island.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just gonna go ahead and try to solve this right now with no
Linda
forensic.
might have done it.
All right.
Or I'll let Liz keep going.
That's cool. Okay, so Linda starts making the rounds. She goes to the cemetery, and the cemetery director says that copper boxes have been used for cremains since before World War II. They weren't used during the war due to copper shortages, but were still used in the 90s when she was doing her research.
Okay.
So there's no way to know when it was produced.
But not during the war.
Right. Yeah.
We can only exclude this one window of time.
I know.
So then there was an antique store on Brinkerhoff Avenue in Santa Barbara.
Quite a few of them. Okay.
On Brinkerhoff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And some ghosts.
I was going to say, we'll probably do an episode.
So she talks to B, the button lady.
Oh, gosh.
There's a button lady?
Well, there was in the 90s. I don't know if she's still around. So B, the button lady, says that the larger size of the button is similar to those used in the 20s and 30s, and that if the button had been covered in fabric, it could be as old as the early 1900s, when wealthy people wore fabric-covered snaps and poor people had bare metal snaps.
I feel like that's something you would know about.
Jen probably knows.
I know.
She's a costume enthusiast.
Yeah.
My little historical fashion nerd.
So Linda took the ring to Patco Jewelers on Haley Street.
Oh, yeah.
Which is still there.
They are great.
They are great.
Inexpensive.
Yes.
They'll do any repairs. I'm a fan.
Didn't I take you there to get it?
My watch battery.
watch.
It was like $5 to get a new battery in my watch. I was delighted. But they let her know. They examined the ring and they said it's an eternity ring, which I guess just means it has diamonds all around the band. Likely made of platinum because apparently gold melts during cremation.
Oh.
And could be anywhere between 15 and 80 years old. So no help there. And then a physical anthropologist at UCSB said that the false teeth were made of porcelain, and he thought the body would have been cremated in the 50s or 60s.
Okay.
And a dentist said that the teeth were no more than 50 years old. And they also sent them out to a lab, and they just also couldn't give them any more clear information about the timing of the teeth. So
interesting.
That sounds like there's sort of a range, though, like a mid-century, right? Like
So that was kind of the ending speculation, was they thought maybe 50s or 60s.
Okay.
Was when she was cremated, but
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if she is.
Gosh.
So then about a month after the remains are found, Linda returns to the island, where she and a ranch hand take everything out of the shed and search it for clues. So,
what were they looking for? Not like a head.
Clues. Well, you know, like you get the cremains and there's usually that little paper on the top that
a
says
label.
who it is. So they're like looking.
But it's a garden shed.
I know.
So if you're looking for like, what could she have died from? I don't know. Maybe one of these giant
rakes,
tools, shears, and
shears.
No. So she finds a piece of a 1954 news article about a 65-year-old woman from El Segundo named Alice Desheen being killed after darting in front of a car. And so she's like, oh, this is the clue. It's like, this has to be the remains of this Alice from El Segundo.
It's interesting. She's like,
why?
They brought the remains over, and we're just going to tuck this article in with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was just like loose at the bottom of a drawer or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. So at this point, Linda meets up with the Santa Cruz Island Foundation staff back on the mainland. And somehow local mystery author Sue Grafton hears about it and attends this meeting, along with a journalist and a photographer from The Independent, our weekly paper.
Well, she was on S, so she was looking for something from
Santa Cruz. Yeah, so I've never read any of her books. I don't know if this story like inspired her, but
my mom
it could be fun.
really liked her books.
We'll have to look and see. So Linda then goes to the Santa Barbara Public Library, looks up the name. She finds a few variations of the spelling. She calls the El Segundo. I'm going to say that different every time I say it.
That's fine. That's okay.
She calls their paper, the Herald, where an editor agrees to contact the only mortuary in the city. And so sure enough, they have a record of a woman named Alice Desheen, but she died in 1955 at the age of 85, was not cremated, and was buried in the Inglewood Park Cemetery. But it turns out that's where members of the Stanton family who had been exhumed and moved to Santa Cruz Island had also been initially buried.
Did they accidentally take... No, wait. No, she died after. She died in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
They found the box in the 20s?
No, they found the box in the 90s.
Oh.
I wondered why you said 20s before. I thought you were doing some sort of like math that I wasn't able to do.
No.
Did they just take an extra?
So nothing comes of that connection. The cemetery is like, nope, she's definitely still here.
She's still there. She's right.
Yeah. So then on February 22nd, 1992.
Dumbest thought.
Tell us.
They should start burying people with air tags.
Oh, God.
So then they can just look up. Oh, yeah, nope, she's still
there. Still there. Hasn't been moved.
What if they approach your phone and it's like an air tag of the dead is near you? That would be terrible.
Oh, gosh.
You'd have to go in and change the batteries.
I'm an Android person, so I don't actually really know how those things work.
Well, that's how they work.
Oh, okay. So this story was featured in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries in 1992.
Find it.
Yeah. So I saw two different things. Like one said the episode is called Stanton's Bones, and then another one called it Jane Doe's Ashes. And so, of course, in this program, they speculate, was Carrie Stanton the keeper of a deep, dark secret? But Marla Daly at the Santa Cruz Foundation says he was a compulsive archivist and meticulously labeled everything. And of course, like I said, they were cremated, so foul play was not suspected. So
yeah. I wonder if it could, if there was so many people working on the ranch, it might have just been like maybe someone's wife, and they just traveled with, maybe it was like a gardener or someone, someone that would have been using that shed And, like, they brought their wife's ashes with them, and then they just accidentally left them.
Exactly.
Something.
And that's the speculation that maybe a ranch hand brought them intending to, like, scatter them or something, and just
got busy.
Right. Tucked them away and then forgot about it. Or, like, you know, a handful of people have died out there. So maybe they died before they were able to do something with it. But, so anyway, on August 1st, 1980, Linda wrote her last journal entry about her search. And she says that while she didn't discover the identity of the remains, the bigger mystery is who put them there and why. And her...
That's like Phoebe in Friends. You could cut this. But doesn't she say that to Ross about dinosaur bones? Like, that's the larger question. Like, who put them there and why?
I don't know. I don't remember that. Oh my gosh. So her last entry in her account reads, "I think it is time to put Alice, as we've come to know her, to rest, and I can't think of a better place than a peaceful hillside on Santa Cruz Island. She has taken many journeys, been looked at by anthropologists, dentists, writers, and many other interested people. Some have wanted to write about her, and all have wondered about her. I only hope people cared half as much for her when she was alive." Aww. So the cremains were buried at the Cemetery of the Holy Cross on the island in an unmarked grave, and her identity remains a mystery.
Wow.
And that's the unknown woman of Santa Cruz Island.
That was super interesting. I had never even heard of that.
I mean, neither, until I happened upon a book called Chapel of the Holy Cross, 1891 to 1991, Santa Cruz Island, which was put together by Marla Daly of the Santa Cruz Foundation.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to find out which area of the island the cemetery is at.
I bet you can.
I bet you can. Yeah.
Potentially try to visit it.
Oh, yeah. We could all go out there.
We should.
I've only been to Scorpion Cove. I haven't ventured out much on the rest of the island.
Okay.
But that would be interesting.
Do we have a question for the 8-ball?
Oh yeah, here, hand it to me. What do we want to ask?
I'm not good at coming up with questions for the 8-ball.
Yeah, we can't really ask it like, whose remains were they?
It's like,
Magic 8-ball?
I know.
Alice Johnson.
Okay, how about...
Oh no, I was going to say, will they ever find out who it was? But they...
Probably not.
They've just buried her again.
I could dig her up.
I mean...
Well, but I don't know what the cremains are going to tell you. But...
Yeah, what other additional information are they going to get?
Unless I don't think you can DNA
get
test.
to a point where, you can highly accurately DNA test.
Probably not.
Tiny little, tiny bone fragments.
Yeah. How about, does the ghost of the unknown woman walk the shores of Santa Cruz Island?
Good one.
There's not a whole lot of shoreline.
Okay, well, whatever.
Cliffs.
Maybe she walks on the wharf.
Does she walk the wharf?
Does she haunt the island in any location?
Has she been was she watching them discover her body and try to figure out who she was?
Oh, she's like, I'm right here.
I know.
She's like not talking to her husband's ghost because he left her in a shed.
Yeah, I'd like to think that, like, if her husband passed away, that he's also buried out there, maybe in the same
if he
cemetery.
was one of those people connected to the island. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
Does the ghost of the unknown woman haunt Limo? Outlook not so good.
Oh.
Well, good. Maybe
she's at peace.
She's at peace. We like that.
My outlook is not so good. I need new glasses to read the 8-ball.
The 8-ball is just difficult to read. The fluid in it is really viscous now.
Who makes those? Send us a Magic 8-ball, please. You can be our first sponsor.
Totally.
We're sponsored by the Magic 8-ball. Inc. Should be
awesome. That was so good.
Thanks.
We should do.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah, Island of the Blue Dolphins lady.
Yeah, we
at some
should.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a bookmark of doing an episode related to Smuggler's Code.
Oh, cool.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. I can't wait to hear about that.
Smuggling.
Really?
In the channel.
Smuggling?
Snuggling. In the
Snuggling. Oh, Snuggler's Cove.
Oh, I like that.
I want to go to Snuggler's Cove.
Adorable.
Not really, though. I like snuggling for like 5 minutes and then I'm over it.
You shouldn't have a cove then. You should have like a bench.
Snuggler's Cove is my prisoner's cove. I'm a cat. I just want to be like acknowledged and then left alone.
Amazing. All right.
Alrighty. Well, once again, thanks for listening. And follow us on the socials. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And visit us at theGhoulsGuideToSB.com.
Bye.
See you next time.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for listening to The Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. Like and subscribe on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ghoul's Guide to SB.
Our website is ghoulsguidetosb.com. Got a spooky story or know of a haunted or paranormal location in Santa Barbara? Send it to us at ghoulsguidetosb@gmail.com.